Transformers. Fall of Cybertron. Moving on into the next chapter. Chapter 5, Cut and Run. And I will have rightly have been corrected on the previous video. I have no doubt that I mentioned that we were playing as Jazz. And we were not. Which, you don't need to be an eagle-eyed viewer to know that, you just need to know your Transformers, which is something I do not. At the previous level, you are playing as Cliffjumper. I was trying to do the thumbnail the other day and I realised my mistake. So I will rectify it in this one, just in case you didn't hear. As sacrilegious as it was, I do apologise. But I believe, and I might be wrong again, because I just don't really know my stuff. Maybe this is not Jazz, but the wiki that I was using said it is. So I'm double checking now, guys, to make sure that we are the ultimate professional streamer slash YouTuber slash actor and Dreamweaver. But alas, you know, you can never truly be certain. But this level is quite unique because we start off taking on a new enemy type, and I know the name of this enemy because it's in Transformers Devastation. And it is the Insecticons, I think they're called. And you know they're not called that, and someone's like, well, actually, I'll have you know, Chris, this is from the 1981 novella that was the side story in the back of the original pamphlet for the first comic run of the 7th series. And I'm just like, dude, I wasn't even born. Please, can you just help me? Help me to help you. It's just a video, I'm not that guy. Or maybe I am. But the thing to bear in mind with this creature is you can melee them and you can use the shotgun that I've got right now. And as long as you keep moving, you're never really in any kind of true danger. This sequence here is kind of a get to the chopper moment, where you're running through all the tunnels and there's lots of enemies. And you can shoot the enemies if you want to, but you are timed here and you can fail. And on my first try doing this, I was shooting everything, trying to get a good gameplay, and then I died at the end because of the time limit, and it shows that the checkpoint's all the way back at the start, so we're not going to mess with that. So just get through as swiftly as you can and then move on, and you can use the new feature in this stage is the grapple. Which is, again, it's not a huge thing, you know, but it's just enough to tell your brain you're doing something different. And this was back, this game, wasn't it, in like the early 2010s this came out? I don't know exactly, is it 2011, 2013, something around that area? Someone will know that. But at that point, we weren't quite into the grapple hook obsession, the fetishistic grappling game feature. Because if you remember, in around this time, I think we were going into, wasn't it the year of the bow? Because you had the Tomb Raider reboot that had the bow, you had Crysis 3 with the bow, you had all these games coming out and every bugger had a bow. It was a huge thing. So we're not even at the point where it's like the year of the grappling hook, and this game was doing it before it, which is nice. And you know, again, not a huge thing, but it's dynamic. It's like Arkham, where you just look at the point, you press the button, you can do it, and I really appreciate that. But on this sequence, we're being attacked by snipers, and the snipers in this game are really fair. They have to land, they have to go into formation, and then they have to do their laser to shoot you. If you let them do this, you're going to have a rough time. But this weapon takes a couple seconds to calibrate its accuracy, and then it's incredibly deadly. It's one of the better weapons in the game. And I don't know why I said that, because all the weapons in the game are really good. But this here particularly, if you can aim, you can have a lot of success with this gun. And this whole sequence is kind of using verticality and unusual geometry. And you can see some of the pathing that the AI does. And it's kind of cute when you think about it, because the AI jumps around this location quite a lot, and that was something that they added into Quake 2's remaster. They added a bunch of these different animations that the enemies couldn't do before in the original because it was just too advanced for the time. And then you move forward several years, and this game is doing those very same things, which just goes to show that the more we change, you know, the more things stay the same. But this is another example of a level that has a nice sense of scale to it. Now, that's the laser, by the way, do you see it? It triangulates, and then as soon as it centralizes, you're in danger. But you can distinguish a head on these robots, so make sure you hit him for the face. And some of the comments have been talking about the other Transformer games, and I should really talk about this here to elucidate for people that are curious. One thing I found really funny on the first video of this series is the moment I unveiled this series, someone was already asking me if I'm going to do the other game in this series. It's like, dude, can't you just enjoy the series before you immediately demand the next one? Like, what is happening? We're this nation of consumers, we don't even enjoy the moment, it's always next, next, next. What's the new grind, the new way, the new obsession? Which I appreciate your zeal, but it struck me as a little funny. But a lot of people have been sharing their stories about Transformers, and how they love this series and how it was their exposure to multiplayer, and I have none of these sentiments, sadly, and I'm really happy for the people that do. To give you a bit more information if you don't know the story, because it is quite an old one now, when I rented this game, it was at a time when my girlfriend went to America for Camp America for a couple of months, and it was the first time we'd ever really been apart, and I had my first ever bout of depression, and it was really hard, as you can imagine. I'm sure you've struggled with it yourself. It's not rare, it's quite common, but up until that point, I didn't believe in depression. I thought it was weakness because I'm an evil, angry wolf of a human. And I was humbled by my own stupidity and ignorance. And I will never say anything as stupid again until the next stupid thing I say. But I just thought that people needed to cheer up and get over it. And then I felt it, for real. And it is real, guys, as much as you might not have been there. And I hope you never do. But it absolutely is. And what it ended up doing is it ended up killing my love for achievement hunting. And I think it was like 2015, 2016. I played this game quite late. But I used to be a massive achievement hunter. I would get all the achievements on the games, I'd play all the games, do everything I could, and just do everything to get that number up. And it was one of my biggest passions next to doing things like YouTube and whatnot. And for whatever reason, during that period, it dried up. And I'm a very driven person. I'm the type of guy that I've always got a goal, I've always got something I'm working on, and if I'm not working on something, it makes me feel like I should be, and I feel like I'm lazy, and I get guilty. So I'm always kind of, doing the pre-production on whatever comes next. And in that moment, it was as if one of my biggest passions had just gone away, and I didn't know who I was. In that point, I just kind of lost myself a little bit. And luckily, I managed to make it work. I ended up doing a lot of reading, and I ended up falling into a Clive Barker hole where I read a bunch of that guy's books, and I read a book called Weave World, which is one of my favourite books. And I was listening to an album by a band called Soilwork called The Ride Majestic. And that album and that book kind of saved me, because it's quite a lengthy book, and I took my time with it and I really enjoyed it. And I did all these, his Books of Blood and whatnot, and Damnation games and things. And reading was the only thing I could do that didn't make me want to go to sleep and not wake up. And it sounds awful, doesn't it, right now? It sounds really, really dark, and at the time it was, but it's better now, and it's never been like that again, even though my girl did go on to do Camp America for more years, but I got better at doing it, I learnt my way, and I kind of rebuilt myself. But what happened in that interim is that when I rented this game and I put it on, I was just like, oh, flying around as a car, it's really colourful, shooting these fucking stupid robots, what is this is lame, I can't do it. And I just judged the game really unfairly. And I sent it back. I didn't play it, I kept it for like 3 months and I sent it back. I even wrote a blog on True Achievements a decade ago saying, I don't get it, I don't know why anyone would like it, it's trash kind of thing. I was in a bad place. And then we fast forward a couple of years, and of course, I'm trying to look for projects to cover on PC so I can mess around with mouse and keyboard and bring some cool gameplay and some exciting gameplay. And I thought, why not, Transformers are cool, I've not gone near those games in a while, let's try some of those, and I did, and I'm really happy that I did. That being said though, guys, I tried some of the other ones, because of course there's War for Cybertron, there's Fall of Cybertron. Those are the two really good ones that I can guarantee on PC, if you play them you'll enjoy them, because you can get all the great stuff for them and they feel good. I couldn't actually get the first game, War for Cybertron. I tried, I just couldn't get it. Really hard to find unless you've got it physically, kind of a pain in the ass, but I'll keep looking, and when I do, I'll share it. But the other games, like the ones like Revenge of the Fallen and the Darkspark and all that stuff, I tried those games, and the mouse and the performance and the FOV and the controls, everything is just, it's just not really something that you can, if you're me, you can't fuck with it. Like, it does not feel right, and I spend the whole time trying to play it, hating the controls and getting really frustrated. And if I'm frustrated by how your game feels, it just turns into something like Lords of the Fallen, where I spend the whole time having a miserable time because the foundation of your game is bad. It's like when I always take the piss out of people who like Dark Souls 2 PvP. Everything they say about the PvP is usually accurate, but it doesn't matter to me because the game feels like shit. The movement is bad. To me, the fundamentals are the reason I like games. Give me good fundamentals, build on them, and I'll love you forever. That's why I like this game. And right now, this is a big gauntlet, by the way, I should be talking about. It's a stack of enemies that rush towards you and a bunch of shotgunners that come in pairs. And if you come up here, they have to jump towards you, and as they're jumping, you can use your tools to fuck them up. And I'm going to be using my special weapon here, I'm going to be using my main weapon, and then if they get too close, I'm going to turn into the car. But these are all shotgun people, and they shred the living shit out of you, so be real careful. Like, if you don't see my life going down, it's because I'm not being hit. The moment they start hitting me, it's bad news bears, because if they hit you with the full pellets, it does almost your entire shield. But the more distance you have, the safer you are, so definitely be careful with those fellas. And then this thing here, the Scrapmaker, I think this is my favourite gun of the gold variant. I think it's just the one that shoots the automatic, and it does a ton of damage. But one of the things I love about this game is one of the things I also love about Gears of War, and that is when the enemies poke out of the corner when they're in cover, you can shoot them. So you don't have to wait for them to go into an offensive stance because parts of their bodies are exposed. And in a lot of third-person shooters, they kind of lost that. And the thing I like the most is when a little bit of their body's exposed, you shoot it and it flinches them out of cover, and then you can do the 1-2 combination and kill them. That's my favourite kind of design in counter-cover engagements in third-person shooters. Like, I love the idea of shooting a guy's knee and then he falls forward and then you shoot him in the head. It reminds me of the noob combo from Halo, where you do the plasma pistol into the battle rifle and you kill the enemies. Oh wow, look at that, by the way, that's not intended. That right there is a result of the high frame rate, I think. That was amazing, I'm glad we got that one in. Weird shit happens on high frames, if you don't know, ladies and gents, on PC. This game was never designed to run at anything probably higher than 60, and even then, I don't know what it is on the console, it might have even been 30, but when you start pumping it, and this game, I think it runs at 120 is where it caps out, which is unfortunate, but it's still really nice. Because you can get 120 locked, and the game does feel pretty damn smooth. But because you're forcing that frame rate, things like collision, things like physics, animations, a lot of things get affected. And I really hope, you know how... Have you seen those videos on YouTube, guys, where someone's gone back in and interpolated the footage in Jason and the Argonauts, you know, on the... Is it the Harryhausen stop motion with the skeletons? And it's a video titled something like, what if this stop motion was smoother? And they've made it 120 frames per second. And you watch it and it just looks delightfully smooth because the machine has gone in there and done the AI stuff. I hope we get to a point where you can do that with games. I really do. And I've talked about this on stream, it's like a fantasy of mine, and it's one of those stupid things, like when you talk about what you'd do if you won the lottery, or what you'd do if you found a genie and you got some wishes. But I would really like to develop a piece of software, a third-party software, where when you run a game, it automatically calibrates that game's sensitivity to go to your favourite mouse sensitivity, whatever that might be. That is one of those things I would really love to do. Because what you'll find if you play on PC a lot with mouse is you'll bump into a game that has the best feeling mouse you've ever felt. And it really does feel like you're playing a completely different platform. It feels like your connection between your mind and your hand in the game is seamless. And it's really hard to describe unless you felt it. It's like when you hit your refresh rate and you see the game for the first time. It's like when Neo wakes up in the Matrix and his eyes hurt because he's never seen the world. There's this beautiful sense of connection. And if I could get every game to feel like my favourite sensitivity just natively and have it just all the time in real time be calculating it to make it perfect, I think that would be the best thing you could ever make for a PC player that wants to use mouse and keyboard. And in this world where I'm able to build that, I would give it away for free. I wouldn't sell it even though you could make billions. Maybe not billions, but you'd be able to make a lot of money with this because it's such a huge thing to so many people that are really passionate about this format and this platform. But I'd do the Blender thing. I'd just be like, guys, I've been able to build this. I'm obviously doing really well in life or whatever, or really smart. Just have it. And I would make sure that nobody can buy it and nobody can patent it and nobody can sell it. Like, straight up. I'd hire a team to stop people trying to make money off of it so that everybody gets it for free. No matter where you are, you know? Fucking email me, I'll send it you. I'll have a team of people you can email, they'll send it you. Because I just think that that's the type of thing, like, it's so easy to fall into these console wars of, you know, like, oh, my system's better than your systems, and sending death threats because PC gets PlayStation games, and saying that Starfield's trash and Spider-Man's trash because you just want to defend these corporations. But when it gets down to it, the true fundamental is we play these games to have a good time. We come to this format and this medium so that we can engage with it because it's the only place in life where you can engage in this way. There's nothing else like this. It's a phenomenon, it's a sensation, and it's here to stay. It's one of the biggest growing industries in entertainment. It's incredibly lucrative. But with that lucrative nature, there's a lot of deceit that's come in. There's a lot of scumbaggery that's come in. There's a lot of yes men and manipulation and guile. And that's not what gaming is, even though it's always been there. I don't know anybody that plays gaming for those reasons outside of like those scammers and things. Like, we play this because there's something here that resonates with our brains and we love it. And we might argue and we might disagree and we might have differing opinions. But fundamentally, we want to engage with the systems and enjoy them for what we like and what we value. And that's what you get to do. So being able to make that easier for people in mass, effortless, is beautiful. Because how many times have you done something in a game where you've set up a bunch of settings? Imagine it, right? You've set all your settings, you've got weird camera settings, you've got weird control bindings, you've got weird preferences, all that kind of stuff, and then your cache gets cleared, and all of that's gone. And now you can't remember what your settings were, and it never quite feels as good as it did when you had it calibrated. There's nothing more frustrating when you lose some settings like that, because you've forgotten just all the tweaks that you did to make it feel as good as it's felt, and it's felt good for so long you don't remember when it felt bad. And then when it does feel bad, you're just like, oh wow, this is not good. And I'm really sensitive to this because I personally believe, guys, that you should never suffer anything other than excellence. It's one of the reasons why my standards compared to some people on this platform seem to be considerably higher. And that might make me a critical arsehole and it might make me harsher than most, but it means that when I do get something I enjoy it for the reasons I'm looking for and not for reasons that are prescribed to me by other people. And this is a great example. Like, look at this here, guys. I'm using movement in a third-person shooter with good mouse on the hip, taking on a bunch of enemies that are trying to gangbang me. It's running at good frames, it's running at good res, it looks great. This is pure gameplay. I've had more fun in this one engagement than I did playing Alan Wake 2 for 5 hours. Because this is a fucking video game, and I love it. And this bit could be quite difficult if you stop moving, but as long as you're moving, guys, and you're just nailing everybody, you'll be fine. But these guys like to fire their custard at you. We don't take custard on this channel. We eat our cake dry. But just be careful of your ammo as well. There's tons of ammo in the vicinity of this area. And make use of the scrap maker too, it's really good. But here we go, we've got Cliff Jumper and Jazz coming together to kick some ass. Do you know what I'm looking forward to as well, guys? You know how we've got those co-op mods for games that never had co-op, like Twilight Princess? That Twilight Princess co-op mod breaks my brain. It just blows my mind. I'm not the biggest Twilight Princess fan. I bought it on the GameCube the day it came out. I really enjoyed it, but looking back at it, it's not my favourite Zelda, even though I respect that it's different and it's cool. But the idea of playing a game like that in co-op when it's not meant to be is easily more exciting than anything in the next year of video games to me. Because think of what that means for the industry. Imagine if we can have any game have co-op. Right now, there are 2 Transformers fighting in this room. Can you imagine if this was you and your buddy? This game on co-op would be amazing, and for all I know, it already has it, you know? But it's just that thing of, what game, guys, right now, if you could, that does not have co-op supported, would you make co-op? Because there's bound to be some heavy hitters that people are going to say, because adding co-op to anything immediately brings new life to it and adds longevity. You know, it's this thing I say all the time on my stream. Doing things with friends is immediately more fun. It doesn't matter if you're being systematically, ritualistically murdered. It doesn't matter if you're on the receiving end of a blood eagle. It's better when you're with people you care about. Unless, you know, it's like your kids and stuff, and then you're like, no, kill me, not them. That would be super fucked up.